were some of those things that you were teaching the corporate people, these high performers in business? What were you teaching them during those lunch and learns? What were you trying to get across to them?
There's a concept we've been teaching on our retreats almost since day one, since a few retreats in, called Ikigai. And it's picking up a little bit more steam now as everybody is talking more about lifestyle design. Early on, this was an extremely novel concept. So, just to pull all the way back to the beginning, what really spurred interest in this, credit to him for probably doing this like 50 million separate times, but I happened to come across The 4 Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, and I had not yet read 4 Hour Work Week. And Tim now, it's a billion downloads, billion plus downloads on his podcast. That was a self discovery. Nobody told me about Tim. His podcast wasn't shared with me. I literally was in a Barnes and Nobles. I love bookstores. Was in a Barnes and Noble, and I came across The 4 Hour Body on the table. And I picked it up, and I think I read like 200 pages sitting in there. And I was like, I'm going to feel like an asshole if I don't buy this. So I bought the book. I went home and I said, wow, how cool that this guy can be a New York Times bestseller by literally just self experimenting on his health and writing about it. And you can use this self experimentation to bring across this very authentic and natural humility where you start asking for help from people who are really good at teaching. And I said, what an amazing opportunity to continue to do all these things myself. And so, kind of from start to finish, I started applying a lot of these kind of like self experimentation techniques in my own life. And what I noticed when we were in these corporate environments, when I was still working in the corporate environment, that all these things I was trying on myself were very novel at the time. Like everybody wasn't on Calm and Headspace. There weren't a ton of uh, healthy food offerings in these businesses. People were not taking off at lunch and going to work out. There were not gym memberships being offered as perks. The curve on what is now widespread available to people was not there. And it seems almost crazy to think like, oh, well, these businesses like didn't come with any of these perks. It wasn't okay to take a break to go work out. You didn't do team happy hours, like doing something active or healthy rather than just drinking. It was like all of our happy hours were just consuming as much alcohol as possible. And so when we were doing this, those resources weren't just ubiquitous. So the main message that we were getting across was like, hey, there's stress present here that's not being dealt with and that's not being talked about from the corporate level. The ways to deal with that stress were like team happy hours that were being paid for or taking a little bit of time off. Now I think there's like mental health days. People are just getting days off just to like take care of your mental health. And it's being messaged around like do something peaceful and active for yourself instead of working. Like that was our mental health day was like Sunday before you went back to working, 50 to 75 hours a week. And I think that our main message at the time, the goal for us was to communicate across that this environment is stressful in a way that you can't perceive. You didn't have a Whoop band yet. You didn't have an Aura ring yet to check your HRV in the workplace. These situations, these environments that you spend the most time in, more time than you spend with your spouse, with your kids, at this workplace is inherently an environment that is not conducive to your best health. And regardless of how much money you make now, you will never make up for that. You can't pay for that back later. So we need to do something about this now. I'm really happy that there are people that love doing taxes. Like we need help with it. I am not one of those people. So, but I understand those people, and I understand how you could like it. I I didn't dislike working in the environment I was in. And everyone always says this, but the people at those jobs are extremely smart. The people that work in professional services firms, like the average intelligence level is very, very high. There's a high bar to entry just needing to go through the testing and the schooling to even get credentialed. And I was watching a lot of these people just not practice very healthy habits. So for them, it was really, hey, let's present this list of kind of new and novel ideas to them. Let's help them synthesize that in a way that really helps improve their lifestyle in the context of, we know that this is your job and these are the things that come along with it. And how do we make those two things fit together better? That was that was the main delivery. And we've been teaching Ikigai for a really long time now, and that's essentially what that model is. It's just taking the things that you like, taking the things you can be paid for, which you may not necessarily love all the time, and finding some other elements to add in there that make holistically something that you can feel very purposeful about and you can be healthy doing. That's the goal of almost every talk that we give, corporate or not.